Okay, I think we can start our lesson. Welcome to our Russian language course. Today we have lesson number 9, sorry. And we are going to open a new chapter. The previous 8 lessons, they were about pronunciation. And now we're going to start to learn grammar. But before we start really learning some rules, I want to say a few words about the structure of a language. Many things from what I'm going to say you probably already know, but maybe many people don't know those terms, and it's not harm to repeat them. And, if you remember, during our previous lessons, we have learned these words. By the way, all previous lessons, I was typing all my words in capital, but now I'm going to type all the words in lowercase, like this. And then it makes more sense when I show the stress with the uppercase letter than the other way around. So everything will be in lowercase. So we have learned 3 very important words. Звук, слово, предложение. And I want to check how well you guys do your homework. And I want to ask whether there's anybody who can tell me what those words mean in English. You can tell me in chat, or you can put voice. It's up to you. Does anybody remember the meaning of these 3 words?
Sound.
Mm-hmm. How about the second word? Okay. Jessica knows sound. Sentence. Okay, Arline. Great. That's great. That's great. Exactly. This is sound. This is word. This is a sentence. And you can say those are 3 levels. You can see that one level consists of another. You see that the word consists of sounds. Word is basically a union of sounds that has a meaning. And the sentence consists of words. And the sentence is the union of words. And likewise, when you learn a language, there are 3 major sort of studies or areas of study. And they are called, I'll use English terms. I think at this level, you shouldn't learn the Russian grammar terms. In future, when you learn advanced Russian, you should also learn the Russian grammar terms, but for now, we're going to use the English terms. So the first level of the language would be phonetics. The second level would be morphology. And the third level would be syntax. And those 3 areas of study, they are arranged according to those levels of the language. When the phonetics is the study of sounds, morphology is the study of words, and syntax is the study of sentences. On the previous lessons, we have learned phonetics, and now we are more or less done with this topic, although of course it is much more complicated than I explained. I explained only the basic part, basic rules, and now we are moving to morphology. We're going to study words. And syntax probably we will not study within the next few lessons, but maybe another 5 lessons later, maybe 10 lessons later, I don't know. But for now, we're going to study morphology. Привет, Махит. Okay, let's see. When you study words, you need to know such a thing as the term part of speech. Part of speech. Part of speech. And because this subject is very big, I would like to ask you to tell me who is familiar with this term. Do I need to explain it or not? Because if I don't need to explain, it will be much easier. If you already know what is noun, adjective, verb, adverb. If you are familiar with those terms, please write it in chat. Just say yes or no. Okay, Emil knows what it is. Cindy knows what it is. Jessica knows what it is. Okay. So I got 3 replies out of 9. And I know what it is. There's 4 replies out of 9. For those who didn't reply, Gustavo also knows 5 out of 9. Okay. So we will not stop. I'll just, for those who don't know, very briefly, within 5 minutes, we'll explain what it means. Noun, part of speech is a different term for a type of word. There are altogether about 10 parts of speech, plus minus, 10 types of words, and the ones I've shown here are the most basic ones. Noun is a name of thing. This is the most simple definition. Adjective, a word that describes quality of thing, of a thing, name of thing. And verb represents action. Adverb, this one, probably not everybody knows what it is. I would say adverb is a word that represents quality of action. So in this way, it is a bit similar to adjective. The adjective describes the quality of thing, while adverb describes the quality of a verb. Okay, and the last but not least is a pronoun. Pronoun is a word that replaces nouns. Therefore, it's called pronoun. For example, a table. I can see this table. You can say I can see it. Okay, and all these parts of speech you can also find in Russian language. Right. Today, my plan for today's lessons was to teach you about adjectives. There are many rules in Russian language, many rules. So many that it's even difficult to choose which rule we should learn first. And I tried to pick the most simple one. Today we're going to learn how adjectives change according to the gender. Just to remind you briefly, what do I mean by that? So I'll give you an example. In English language, a good boy and a good girl. The word good has exactly the same shape in both cases, but in Russian language, it would have a different shape. Хороший мальчик. Хорошая девочка. the words at the end, those words are nouns. Okay, and those nouns in Russian language, every noun has a gender. Absolutely, 100% of nouns have a gender. Even if there is a foreign word which comes from English language. In English language, there are no genders, but even let's say it comes from English language, it is adopted to Russian, then the gender is assigned to it. And then when you use an adjective to describe a noun, then the adjective it inherits the noun's gender. So since мальчик is a masculine gender, then the adjective should also have the masculine gender. And since девочка is a feminine gender, then the verb, the adjective also must have the feminine gender. Or if there is a neutral noun, яблоко, яблоко is a neutral gender. Яблоко. You see, in all three cases, the ending is different. And today, I'm going to explain you the rules, which endings you must put in which situations. And this is not that straightforward. It's not that straightforward. In English, there is no, you don't need to change at all. In Russian, you need to change, and it's not that straightforward. Let me show you what I mean. And now we are only covering singular adjective. Masculine, feminine, neutral. If later you want me to send you this table, please send me a private message, or you can copy it here, or you can also find it on YouTube later on when we upload the lesson. Okay, how does it look? And also it will give you a sort of flavor of learning Russian language. Because you face a lot of memorization. Let me explain what this means. Let me explain what it means. When you learn a new adjective in Russian language, you should learn it in the original form, and the original form is considered to be the masculine gender. When you look up a word in a dictionary, an adjective, you always see it in masculine gender, and it will give you some ending already. So you see here, you see that masculine gender can have different endings in its original form. Basically, one of the endings can be oi, one can be ui, and one can be i. Okay, and perhaps I can give you an example. Большой. Большой человек. The ending is ой. Then you see, according to the table, if the ending is oi, then for feminine it changes to aya, and to neutral it changes to oye. So if we change to a different noun, for example, ложка. Ложка means a spoon, and it is a feminine gender, so you must change the ending to ая. Большая. Человек was большой человек, большая ложка. And then if you change it to apple, яблоко, then according to the formula, you change to ое. Большое яблоко. Quite straightforward, very straightforward. Now I want to choose. Простой, simple. Большой, простой, сложный. So now I give you an example with the ending "и". Сложный, which means complicated. Сложный язык, complicated language. If it becomes feminine, and which is the best feminine word which I can teach you. Never mind, maybe it will sound a bit weird. A complicated pen. It's a complicated pen. Ручка. A complicated pen. Сложная ручка. Then, if we change it to neutral, for example, слово, complicated word, then ое becomes ое. So for the first two endings, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so you just need to look at the ending, and then you change the ending accordingly for the female and neuter. But when the ending of the masculine adjective is "и", then it becomes more difficult. Then, apart from looking at the ending, you must also look at what is the preceding letter. And example, хороший. I want to, maybe it will be confusing for you because previously we learned the word хорошо, and the meaning was good, and the meaning of хороший is also good. Please note that those words are related, but they are not the same. Хорошо is an adverb. Хорошо, for example, I did the job well. Some trouble with the copy and paste. Хорошо, it is an adverb. Хорошо means well. So if you want to use a хорошо means well. I speak English well. Or I speak Russian well. Я говорю по-русски хорошо. Actually, and the word хорошо also has a few more meanings. Okay, but we're not going to touch that yet. So if you want to make an adjective, a good boy, then хороший. Okay, and here we have a complicated case. Хороший мальчик. The preceding letter, as you see, is letter ша. So there are three different cases, three different situations. What are the preceding letter? Here we match the second one. So when it becomes a feminine, then you change it to хорошая. Хорошая девочка. Яблоко. And when it changes to the apple, яблоко, яблоко, хорошее яблоко, хорошее яблоко. Okay. Okay. Basically, but can you tell me whether it is clear what I'm saying? Any questions so far? I think pretty straightforward. Мы говорим не прилагательные, а прилагательные. Да, да, okay, so since no questions, okay. Your homework will be to use some words I'll give you and to make those changes according to the gender. Just to tell you the scale or the number of things that you will need to memorize later learning Russian language, you must know that in Russian language we have 7 cases. 7 cases, which I will not be explaining to you what it means. And what we are learning here, it is just the nominative case. Okay, so for every noun and adjective, it can change by 7 cases, and also it can be plural and singular. So now we are learning only the nominative case and the singular. So actually, in future, if you want to master all those changes, you must memorize 12. No, you must memorize. What am I saying? It is already late. We don't have 7 cases, but 6 cases. We have 6 cases. Other Slavic languages have 7 cases, but Russian. So in total, you need to 12. You need to learn 12 times more combinations than what we learned today. So just 1/12, and I don't think that we're going to cover the other ones in the beginners class. Maybe it will be in the advanced class. I would like you to learn a few words more, because we need some material to practice those. But first, during the pronunciation classes, we have already learned some pronouns, and we have only learned the singular pronouns. And although pronouns is not the topic of our lesson, but in order to make this knowledge complete, during this lesson, I'll ask you to learn the remaining plural ones. I think no harm repeating them. Я, ты, он, она, оно, which means I, you, he, she, it. Those are the singular ones. Мы, вы, они. And I suggest when you learn them in this sequence. First, you go through the first column from top to bottom. So, я, ты, он, она, оно. Then you learn the second column, мы, вы, они. Because later, when you need to learn how to conjugate verbs, you need to go through all those pronouns, and it's good if you have a stable system, so stable sequence. So I suggest you make up the sequence later to help you practicing. So those are one set of words, мы, вы, они, that I would like you to learn this lesson, and let me see some other words learned today. Since we are working with the adjectives, perhaps we can learn the names of colors, color names. I'll give you the names of 6 basic colors in Russian. Normally the sequence of the 6 basic colors that I like would be this. It is adjusted to the colors of a rainbow. By this time, I think that the only thing you'll be able to pronounce the word without my help, since you remember all the pronunciation rules. You only need me to show you the stress, where the stress is. And the rest you should already know, where you must change O to A, Ya to E, where you must change voice to voiceless, etc. But anyways, today I will still give you the pronunciation. Большой, большой. This one represents the stress. Ой, I don't know what's happening. Черный, черный. Черный. I apologize. The black is черный. Black is черный. Red is красный. 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 Yellow is желтый. By the way, this is pronounced as O because the letter J is always pronounced in a hard way. So even if you have the soft vowel behind, you must pronounce it желтый, желтый. Green. Зеленый. Blue. Синий. Зеленый. Синий. White. Белый. Белый. In order to remember it better, I'll share one trick how I memorize words. Normally, when I learn a foreign language, I like to memorize words in lists, not one by one, but in a list. So I create a list, for example, names of color. The list must have the stable sequence that you don't change, and then you memorize it just like a poem. And why I recommend this style is because it helps you to check how much you remember. Let's say 1 year later, you decide to check how many colors I remember, then you can just go through that sequence and see, instead of recalling each color like in a messy way, you can recall it in an organized way. And you see where you stumble, then you know which word is missing. Okay, here you see that for the colors, most of colors, they are having the same ending, except for sini. So they'll all be changing in the same pattern except for sini. So please pay attention to sini. Colors, the colors we learned the pronouns, and let me start moving to the homework. What homework should I use here? I need to choose some words, some nouns and adjectives. Just give me, I'm thinking. Okay. Here, two adjectives. Длинный, which means long, короткий, short, and you must create such phrases. You must use these two adjectives to describe a pen, ручка, карандаш, слово, предложение. So in total, you should have 8 different phrases. Okay, and if you feel that it's too simple, then add another two adjectives. Большой, and хороший, and плохой. So what will be, you see the homework, it depends on how much time you have. Okay, you can make a big homework or you can make a short homework. Okay, so I would like to ask you to do the homework with at least 3 words. Okay, do the homework for at least these 3 words, and please handwrite it. And those who are diligent or want to practice more, then also do for these 2 words. And also, this exercise is very difficult to memorize, and our lesson is not sufficient to master it. Here you only learn the theory, but it takes much more efforts to memorize it. I found out that normally the time you require to memorize is about 10 times longer than the time that you require to understand. So let's say we spent about 20 minutes explaining this formula. So probably you need 10 times more to memorize. If you have already, if you know other adjectives, we have learned a few adjectives, then you can play with them and make your own sentences to practice. but we will definitely come back to this subject later again. And also, please be prepared with this one. This one is the most simple part of the Russian grammar. Other rules will be more complicated. Also, since we learned the colors, I'll use a couple of minutes to explain one thing about colors. In Russian, krasny means red. And in other Slavic languages, krasny means beautiful. Okay, and it happens that the meaning has changed. In the ancient Russian language, krasny means also beautiful. And now the meaning changed. It becomes red. However, until now, many expressions, verbal expressions, use krasny sometimes in a romantic way to say beautiful or handsome. Krasna devica, a beautiful girl. So also it has another meaning, romantic, but seldom used as beautiful. Okay, and since our time is up, I would like to thank you for coming and see you on Saturday. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Пока-пока.
Пока.
Bye-bye.
Пока.
Пока.